So my wife and I were invited to a party the other day. It was a bit of a fancier one. It was in a nice venue. They had sent out invitations, but they weren't specific about the dress code. Now I knew the host. I could read between the lines. I knew that I was going to wear a casual suit, and my wife was looking great in a beautiful dark colored dress. Now when we arrived, what we found is there was a wide range in the attire. The women, for the most part, were dressed eloquently. In fact, I can't think of a woman that wasn't wearing a nice dress. The men, on the other hand, yeah, this is where the range was. Now, nobody was wearing anything embarrassingly bad, but it was clear that a lot of the guys really didn't put a whole lot of thought into their outfit. They were underdressed. And gents, I'm not here to judge other people, and I encourage you to look past clothing, really try to get to know people. Don't judge a book by its cover. However, the reality is most people do judge a book by its cover. Most people make a decision about you based off what they see. And the big problem I see for a lot of men out there is that they don't have the courage to be the best dressed man in the room. And I say that not in a way to make it sound like a competition, but instead to highlight the fact that many men out there, even when given the time, even when their partner dresses well, they choose for a variety of reasons to dress down or to dress in a way they always have. Now, there's a great HBO show called The Newsroom, and you've probably seen the clip where Jeff Daniels states,
"Not the greatest country in the world, Professor. That's my answer."
Now, he says this statement to a lot of proud Americans. It shocks them, and then he goes in to make a point. And his point is, the first step in solving a problem is to recognize there is one. Gents, the problem I want to raise awareness of in today's video is that the majority of men out there do not realize the importance of their image. We go out there and we spend tons of money on our education. We spend a lot of time gaining experience. We approach a problem with enthusiasm. But when it comes to our nonverbal communication, our ability to send a message with our image, our style, the way we dress and the way we present ourselves, a lot of guys out there, well, let's just face it, they are dropping the ball. You've got that great friend, good guy, spends all the time in the gym, has a great body, but wears clothing that it just makes him look bad. All this begs the question, why do so many men not understand style? What's holding guys back from being the best dressed man in the room? Actually, to be more specific, their best dressed selves. Because here's what I'm shooting for. I want you to look great. Whether you wear a suit, whether you're wearing casual clothing, I want you to be able to put your best foot forward. And in today's video, we're going to identify the economic, the psychological, the cultural, and the practical reasons why most men choose to not dress well and how you can overcome those obstacles. So the first reason why most men aren't dressing well is that the majority of men around them do not dress well. The reality is that we are social creatures. You may think you independently think about things. No, you are taking cues all the time from the people around you. If everyone in your friend circles wears a baseball cap, a t-shirt, and jeans with running shoes, guess what? You are going to fall in line. And experiment after experiment has shown that human beings are incredibly susceptible to the actions, behaviors, and dress code of those around them. And yeah, I said dress code, even though it's an unofficial dress code. Very rarely nowadays, even that party I went to the other day, there wasn't a dress code. They didn't lay it out. I always think it's easier when they do. But the thing is, we still look around. We take cues. We look. If you go into a casual environment, you start to feel out of place if you are dressing at a higher level. If you walk into a party and everyone is dressed to the nines and you're not, you're the odd man out, you are going to feel a bit odd. You are going to feel underdressed. And of course, no surprise here that in the West, particularly the United States and Canada, we have seen dress codes just become more and more casual as we've gone towards athleisure wear, as we've worked more and more at home, as the casual Fridays of the 80s turned into the casual week of the 90s, as turned into pajama month by the year 2010. In fact, nowadays, when I'm out wearing a sports jacket, people think I'm wearing a friggin' suit, which there is a big difference between a suit is a jacket and trousers made from the same material, a sports jacket or an odd jacket, as the name implies, a non-matching material with the trousers. In any case, as society as a whole became more casual, started dressing down and caring less for style, even if you tried to maintain your own standards, it became increasingly difficult as those around you continued to dress down, and all the environments we find ourselves going to, the overall dress continues to go down and in general is geared towards comfort. And I did bring up that italics in comfort because I think that brings up another reason why a lot of people aren't dressing well is a lot of guys assume that dressing well is somehow uncomfortable. Now, in defense of the 10-year-old that is forced to wear a piece of clothing that he's not used to, and it's not nearly as comfortable as a t-shirt. Yes, he's got to wear, that tie. He doesn't know how to tie. It's way too tight. His mom bought him this shirt when it was, 2 years ago. He's outgrown it. Yeah, this is incredibly uncomfortable. And some of you guys that occasionally have to wear a suit, maybe at a wedding, you're like, man, I do not like this stuff. It doesn't fit well. It doesn't feel. Just wearing this necktie for a few hours, all of a sudden you've got got redness around here. Yeah, in this case, you're wearing a costume. This isn't clothing actually made to fit you. So that's why it's uncomfortable, because most likely it's using actually poor quality materials and the fit is not good. However, whenever you buy quality men's clothing that's made to fit your build, actually you put it on, there's no hot spots, it's actually made from a luxurious material, maybe it's going to be wool, a really high-end cotton that is very comfortable, and you get used to wearing it. And that's a really important point, because a lot of times if you're not used to wearing a particular type or style of clothing, you're not really uncomfortable in it, you're just unfamiliar with it. And over time, the more times that you wear it, you become more and more familiar. It's like going into a gym for the first time. You don't know where any of the equipment's at. You don't know how to use it. By the 10th to 20th time you've been in the gym, you start to feel like a regular. You know where things are at. You know how the workouts are supposed to go. The same thing with dressing well. You understand what works with what, how things should be layered, how the fits should be. And all of a sudden, you become very comfortable. All of a sudden, you start liking the fact that people call you sir, that people actually notice you when you walk into a place. They assume you're the man in charge because you look like the man in charge. And that takes me to the next reason I think a lot of guys don't dress well, is they are oblivious to the fact of how important it is for us to dress in a manner so that people make a positive judgment about you whenever they see you. Now, I know some of you guys out there are saying, I don't care what people think about me. They should be able to see into my heart and know that, I've got that fancy degree, I've got all that experience. No, people don't have time for that. You don't have time for that. There's a whole field of science about this, heuristics, basically how we use mental shortcuts as human beings to be able to navigate the infinite. There is just too much information. So we break things down and we use these, these prejudices, we use these shortcuts to be able to say, okay, I'm going to go this, I'm going to do that. Historically, this has worked for me. It works about 90% of the time. Because yes, there are anomalies out there, but usually when you meet a person and they're dressed in a certain way, your idea of success, whatever your field may be, okay, I know that this person normally dresses in this manner, so I'm going to be able to use that quick shortcut, save my energy, and to be able to move on. When you understand that that's the way most people work day to day, all of a sudden you realize, well, this is a hack, simply dressing in a manner that I project the image I want to. And seriously, there are tons of professions that do this. Whenever you're getting on an airplane, you see those guys board early, the pilot and the stewardesses, guess what? They are dressed in a certain manner. If you had a naked guy run into, a building and say, everyone get out, we're going to call the cops. You're going to think he's crazy. You're going to call the uniformed professionals. But if a uniformed professional who looked like a fireman came in and said, everybody get out of here, what are you going to do? Everyone's getting up and they're getting out of here, based solely on what we see. And so when a guy understands, hey, you dress in a certain manner in certain fields, you're going to be able to close more sales. You are going to be able to send a signal of authority. People are just going to question you less, and you're going to have to deal with just less a-holes. All of a sudden, the rewards and the incentives for a person to start dressing better, they're there. And that's what I love. When a man realizes, it's not about the style. It's not about being a fashionista. It's about using your clothing as a tool to get what you want out of life. Now, some of you guys that work from home are like, okay, Antonio, that doesn't apply to me at all. I don't go anywhere. Then in that case, I still would recommend that you dress well, that you shower, that you maybe put on a favorite fragrance, that you dress in a way. Who are you dressing for? You're dressing for yourself. And there's an entire field called enclothed cognition. Classic study here, they had a group of students, they were like 500 of them. 250 were told they were wearing doctor jackets. The other 250 were told they were wearing painter smocks. They took a test. Guess what they found? Those that thought they were wearing doctor jackets were more attentive, and therefore their mindset was in the right place. They scored statistically higher on their exams. Now, don't confuse my point. I'm not saying to start wearing a doctor's jacket whenever you're taking a test. What I am saying is understand that the clothing you wear actually affects the way you perform. Think about it with athletes. If you were to have, some of those top soccer players go out wearing a ballerina's tutu, they're not going to probably perform as well because they're wearing the wrong clothing. They're going to feel out of place. The same with you. And they've even shown this actually on video. If you haven't showered and you think you smell, your confidence level is lower. And they've shown this. Yeah, they have a whole study on this. And again, I've done this research. I see it again and again. And I want to encourage you, whenever you've got that important meeting, actually get ready for it. Dress well for it, even if the camera's not going to be turned on. And you feel good, and you are going to be able to perform at a higher level. Now, if you're nodding your head throughout this and like, Antonio, this all sounds great, but I'm still not going to improve my style. I'm not going to look good because I don't want to stand out from the crowd. I get it. And the desire for human beings to fit in, this is primal. I mean, we go back, thousands, tens of thousands of years. If you were thrown out of the tribe, this was pretty much a death sentence. But here's the thing, as human beings, we often internalize and we overthink, and we think what matters to others, actually, it really doesn't matter to them. If you want to be that guy that has the reputation, is, hey, being the bow tie guy, being the guy that maybe dresses a little bit better, this actually can be to your advantage. Years ago, when I owned a custom clothier, I had a client, he worked over at Microsoft, and he was pretty much the only guy that ever dressed well. And guess what? When Bill Gates was in town, was having a charity event, they were like, who actually has a black tie outfit? Because the event was like in 3 to 4 hours. They wanted to send somebody from his division. Guess what? He was the only person. He was not the most qualified person to sit with Bill and Melinda Gates when they were back together. But no, he was just simply the person that was prepared. So there is an advantage to actually standing out and having that courage. Again, I'm not going to say stand out in a negative way, but I do think if you are well put together, you've got your own individual style. Maybe it's going to be vests. Maybe it's going to be you've got a particular type of shoe that you want to wear. Whatever works in your environment, find a way to be able to bring it in and to make that style yours, and don't be afraid to stand out from the crowd. Now, this one's a little bit more serious, but some guys just have a negative body image. Maybe they got the pear shape, they've got the bigger, wider hips, they don't have much muscle in the upper body. They're like, man, I just simply want to wear baggy clothing that hides everything. Well, here's the thing, is baggy clothing, it just makes you look like you're wearing baggy clothing. Instead, if you've got that type of build, wear clothing that actually is going to build up your shoulders, is going to maybe slim up the hips. There are particular cuts. There are certain styles of clothing. Again, that's why I like classic clothing. Most jackets, whether it be a casual jacket, whether it be a sports jacket or a blazer jacket, this is going to build up the shoulders. It's going to make the hands look larger. Depending on, the cut of the back of the jacket, you can actually get something with no vent, which is going to slim up the hips around the hips a bit. My point being is no matter what your body build is, you can find clothing that better suits and makes you look your best for the body you have right now. Whether you are tall and skinny, you're short and stout, if you don't want to look big and sloppy, you want to look large and in charge. That's what we're shooting for here. Like the Kingpin, right? Seriously, when it comes to ethics, he's got something to improve on, but Fisk, when it comes to style, the man has it. Next up, we've got judgment and reaction. So many guys don't want to dress differently, don't want to dress up because they don't want other people to judge them. I like Nudie Cohen's point. He was this amazing, the rhinestone cowboy look he actually built out in Vegas, amazing Ukrainian immigrant. He would always say, it's better to be looked over than overlooked. And when you embrace that people are going to judge you, well, you might as well be judged as looking good. So at the party the other day, yes, I probably was one of the, best dressed guys there. I wasn't afraid to look great with my wife. I knew we were going to take some pictures. We were going to be spending some time together with others. And I had a number of men and a number of women compliment me, wow, you look great. And it feels good. And you just simply learn to be able to say thank you, say I appreciate it. I do, people know what industry I'm in and what I do for a living. So it's like, hey, I got to live up to the brand. The point being is just learn to be able to accept the compliment and know that if people are going to judge you, they're at least going to judge you as someone that cares, someone that puts in the effort, maybe in their mind a little bit too much, but that's more on them than you. So what about time constraints? What about convenience? Is it harder to dress well? I don't think so, especially if you lay out your clothing, if you design a wardrobe, if you build things out so that you can just simply walk in. I always talk about the interchangeable wardrobe, but one of the things I talk about with that is also being able to color block. As you guys probably have seen, most of my jackets, I've got reds right here, I've got browns. Whenever it comes to my trousers, they're usually going to be in grays. My shoes are going to be dark browns, but I keep this pretty consistent. Yes, I've got some blue jackets as well. My shirts are mostly going to be whites, they're going to be blues. These colors are, some people may find boring. I find it's just easy to be able to go in there and mix and match and to be able to build pieces out. Again, with an interchangeable wardrobe, you can own less, you can get more. It's going to be 3 pairs of shoes, 3 trousers, 3 shirts, and 3 jackets. Now, the goal here is for you to have 3 solid outfits with all 12 of those items. See how it goes right across, 3, 3, 3, and 3? Instead of 3 outfits here, we actually have 81 outfits because everything is 100% mixable, meaning that every pair of trousers works with every pair of shoes, works with every shirt, works with every jacket. And let's talk about the excuse, I don't know where to start. I don't know how to dress better. Guys, come on. I give you so many tools here free on this channel, but if you actually want a guide, down in the description of today's video, I'm going to link over to my style system. We've got a special going on. If you want want a step-by-step program on how to improve your style, get access to me and my team to be able to give you feedback on your outfits, to be able to just help you and motivate you and hold you accountable to taking action to become the man you know yourself to be when it comes to image and style, guys, I'm going to link to it down in the description. Guys, I give you so many free tools here at Real Men, Real Style. So continue your viewing experience. I got you covered. If you want more information on how to dress like your best self, guys, boom, check out this video. I've got you covered. Care about you guys. Again, style is important, but what's more important is that you get the opportunity to show the world who you are. You are that rough, uncut diamond who I hope that you can shine and the world will find you and you will go out there and make a difference. Guys, yeah, appreciate you.